Good day, fellow masters, and good day to our professor on maed102, Historical Foundation Development of Education, Dr. Trixie Cobillas. I am Perlian B. Balati, and I'm tasked to report to you about the India 3000 BC to present and Egypt 3000 BC to 300 BC. First, we're going to tackle about the India 3000 BC to present. Ancient Hindu societies were based on a strict adherence to a prescribed system of familial status known as the caste system, whereby an individual's status is determined by his family's place in the society. Formal education helped perpetuate this system by only allowing access boys from the highest or Brahmin caste. Priests were used as teachers, resulting in a heavy emphasis on moral development, learning to write, and harsh discipline. In India, they have educational goals, which is to learn behavior and rituals based on Vedas. So what is Vedas? It is the most ancient Hindu scriptures written in early Sanskrit and containing hymns, philosophy, and guidance on ritual for the priests of Vedic religion. So their students are all male of upper caste. Their instructional methods is memorizing and interpreting sacred texts. The students will memorize the sacred text forward and backward with emphasis on exact pronunciation in order to keep what was originally heard. Their curriculum is all about Vedas and religious texts. Their agents are Brahmin priest scholars, who is spiritual and intellectual leaders of society. They devoted their time to studying, teaching, and performing sacrifices and officiating religious services. Their influence on education is cultural transmissions and assimilations, spiritual detachment. When we say cultural transmissions, it is a process through which cultural elements in the form of attitudes, beliefs, values, and behavioral scripts are passed on to individual and group. Next, we're going to tackle about the Egyptian 3000 BC to 300 BC. The Egyptians developed a very early, highly civilized society. They had a form of writing known as hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphs were the formal writing system in ancient Egypt. It is used for writing the Egyptian language and were divided into castes. Caste, it is the system of dividing society into hereditary classes. The priests were the most highly educated segment of society and provided the instruction for the privileged males deemed worthy of learning. What is educational goals in Egypt? To prepare priests according to scribe for the empire. Scribes were people in ancient Egypt, usually men who learned to read and write. Their students are male of upper caste. Female were not sent to school, instead their education was conducted at home. Their mothers were the source of education, who instructed them in various disciplines such as sewing, cooking, and reading. The people of lower classes usually could not send their children to schools because of the limited number of schools. And these schools were typically reserved for children from royal and rich backgrounds. Their instructional methods are all about memorization and copying text. Their curriculum are religious or technical texts. The people who acted as teachers to impart ancient Egyptian education are priests and scribes. So what is the role of priests and scribes in their education? So the role of priest was to impart moral and religious education for children. Scribes had a circular duties to perform, like he would teach children to read and write and go on to teach them other subjects like mathematics and medicine. Influence on education, restriction on education controls to priest elites. And that's all for my reports. Thank you for watching and listening.